Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's Monday. It's April 8th, 2024. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a good weekend. In case you don't know, this is serious talk about everything that affects you. And boy, there are a lot of things out there that are affecting you and I that we have to talk about these days that we never used to have to talk about. But first, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And if you don't follow us on X, you really probably should because we're very charming. You can email me, just be nice. That's not too hard, right? Ladies and gentlemen, so in no particular order, for starters, I'm here in Central Florida today. Flew back from New York last night, the Northeast. We didn't get any eclipse. At least I didn't see any eclipse right here, but I'm seeing what's going on around the country. If you got it, and hope you enjoyed it. What can I tell you? It's just a normal day here in Florida, good weather, and that's that. It looked pretty cool on TV, I must say. I was in the Northeast this weekend visiting. My father's in the hospital. The good news is he's doing really well, but he's 92 years old. And we've been telling you about it. And the biggest issue now that we have is that the weakness, getting up, getting down, things you have to do on a daily basis. He has a walker, and you can tell it's a little bit tougher. So we now have a full-timer in the apartment as my mom and pop refuse to go into assisted living. I'm not leaving my apartment. But I have to tell you, as I've said to you, number one, if my brother wasn't up there, I'd have a lot more. So kudos to my brother. My father was a great athlete. All I was thinking about this weekend when we moved to North Miami Beach from Brooklyn, New York, many moons ago, we used to have tag football in the streets of North Miami Beach. And he was famous for the down and out, pump it, go long. And my father was fast as all heck. What a great runner. He almost made it to professional baseball. He was brought up by the Yankees, and I forgot who else. Did not make the pro leagues, though. The Dodgers? Thank you. Somebody yelled the Dodgers in the back. And I must tell you, I'm sitting there quietly watching him, and I could just tell his frustration. And there's no way of me putting my thoughts into what he's feeling. And I just walked outside of the room, and I just started crying like a little baby, knowing about where a man once was. He was a military also, knowing, I'm sure he knows what he once was. A year ago was not like this, so in the last year really has weakened even more. That was my whole thoughts this weekend as I flew back, and I'm just all I'm doing is thinking to myself about what he's thinking and what he's going through, and knowing you're 92, but also knowing you now have to depend on others to do the things you've been doing your whole life, and easily, and knowing that others now have to do for him. We're handling the billing and bills and things that he would always do. By the way, up until a few months ago, he finally just said, you do it. I'm getting a lot of emails from a lot of you as I discuss with you this going through life thing. And it's just, I get it. I really get it. Again, all I was thinking about was, what is he thinking right now? What is he feeling right now? And is he thinking about his whole life and how strong he was, what an athlete he was, a military man, a provider? And then you get to the point where you can't do any of that anymore. And you're dependent on others. So I thank each and every one of you for your input, but there's the only way I can put it, I don't think there's anything like experiencing this. And man, oh man. And I'm here in Florida, he's up there, and anyway. And I know a lot of you have experienced it yourselves. This is new territory. And by the way, my mom is 90, and you can tell that she's losing energy also, but she's the Rock of Gibraltar for the man, which is an amazing thing to watch. And in this day and age of social media and influencers and all that, I got news for you. The real influencers are parents and people like my parents, that all they did their whole life was nothing bad, only good. Worked hard, brought up family, versus, well, you get the hint. Okay, we segue. And again, our thanks. And you know what we're segueing to, because that's what we do here. Professional wrestling. What? So WrestleMania was this past weekend, and as you know, I could do my own big podcast on professional wrestling. I used to get made fun of, and nobody makes fun of them anymore, as it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. As you know, my idol when I was in my teens was Dusty Rhodes. And we used to go to Miami Beach Convention Center every Wednesday. Used to sneak in, even though tickets were like a couple of bucks. And then when they realized we were sneaking in, they just let us in anyhow. And we used to stay after the matches when everybody would leave and meet the wrestlers. And after the wrestlers left and nobody was around, we used to go into the ring and beat the crap out of each other. But Dusty Rhodes and Steve Kern and Mike Graham, Terry Allen, who became Magnum TA, and so many others used to stop and talk to us after the matches. And I was one of these Dusty Rhodes guys, one of my idols. I mean, big time. I used to come off my parents' dresser and do the bionic elbow onto their bed. So in case you don't know, Cody Rhodes' son just won the world title yesterday. It's a big story about his father never won the world title in the WWE, even though he did win in the NWA. And man, oh man, that was a great evening for us crazed professional wrestling fans. And what's interesting is a ton of you email about professional wrestling to me now. It's just big stuff. And by the way, it is a multi-billion-dollar business now. It is insane how big it is. Do you know in the next year they're doing shows in Saudi Arabia, France, Scotland? I mean, they're all over the freaking world. They just did Australia, and they sold out 2 nights in a stadium in Philadelphia for WrestleMania. I think 150,000 people. Just absolutely quite the insanity. So how do we start? Let's see. We got in the clips, my parents, professional wrestling. Don't tell me we're not multifaceted and multi-talented here, right? You know we can do other things, but today we don't script the show, but I actually wrote 3 things down. How did I want to start the show? And we segue again. I only received 8 emails today and 1 phone call thanking on our thoughts on the Trump media merger, which closed today at 37, down another 3.5, down from 80. And again, this is not political. The fact of the matter is, Joe Biden, I want him running lemonade stands, which would probably would have rotten lemons. But we're no fans of either. But we here talk money, and we talk protection of capital, and we actually thought this one was a big protect your capital. And one of our clients actually induced us to talk about it. Up next, we'll cover it a little bit more, a couple of other things we want you wary about, and much more. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
You're listening to
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Investor's Edge
The last bastion of quality programming.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
It doesn't get better than this.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. By the way, part of WrestleMania last night, they have this announcer named Samantha Irvin. And by the way, she's multi-talented singer, musician, whatever. If you have a chance and able to watch, wow! You know, Michael Buffer is known as the announcer of all time. Let's get ready to rumble, guy. She is just in her own world at this point, and everybody's big time praising this woman as announcer. Hey, we talk about everything here. So let's get back to protection of capital as we segue all over the place today. Oh, by the way, I think the NCAA thing's tonight. Am I right? Is the NCAA finals the men? I think it is. What did we tell you at the beginning of the tournament? Oh, that's right. We told you this would be the year where the chalk goes all the way. And we said to you two teams, Connecticut and Purdue. We told you that right before the tournament. Who's in the final? Connecticut and Purdue. I believe of all the games they played, they did not cover one game. That's how good they are. What was my thoughts behind the two? Well, obviously the great season. But, man, something about their big men. They got these two guys that are just Mutambos. And tonight's going to be quite interesting. Connecticut is the favorite, I believe, by 7. Normally, I give you a pick. I have no clue who wins this. I gave you Connecticut to go all the way. I still think they win. I don't know if they cover. But we gave you Connecticut and Purdue and Connecticut to win the tournament, the chalk, the number one team, which is kind of sort of not normal for us because we're looking, wherever. Anyway, good luck to the team. And I must tell you, I did something flying home yesterday. I watched the women's final. I don't think I've ever watched a women's basketball game. I'm pretty sure I have not. I watched it. It was terrific. You know, they got this woman, Caitlin Clark, who's broken every record and stuff like that. I actually liked watching the game. Very good players. They'd kick my butt. They'd kick your butt. And congratulations, South Carolina. Did they go undefeated, I think? Yeah, I think they went undefeated. Okay, we segue back. So, the Trump. What got us to really talk about it here is we actually had a client wanting to buy it. The morning it was $72. It hit a high of 80 the day before and gapped up, wanted to buy it, and I explained he made the final decision not to buy it with a little help from his friends, his friend Gary. But then something happened where he called me back the next morning wanting to buy it because it was up again. And I stopped him dead in its tracks when I think I said to him exactly what I've said to you. I think it's worth $1. And I've been getting a little bit of blowback on saying it's worth $1. Very simply, when we do things like that, and we're not big on what something is worth unless there's really an extreme. Rivian had a $170 billion market cap, no sales. Almost as big a market cap of GM and Ford, who had $260 billion in sales. Boom. Stock's down 90-some-odd%. Well, with the Trump merger, there's 136 million shares. 136. At $1, it's worth $136 million. They have less than $4 million in revenues and lost $50 million, and I have news for you. I wonder if it's going to remain a going concern going forward. Seriously. I mean that sincerely. Especially if he loses the election. Especially. Even if he wins the election, just not sure. So, for those that have thanked us, don't thank us. You made the decision. We just threw some things at you. But we've received some blowback on the political front and all that. And let me state for the record again, when we talk you and the markets and money and your life and jobs and unemployment and debt and deficits and scams and shams and corruption and the sleazebags in D.C., we have no agenda except to protect your capital at the most important moments in time when all hell is breaking loose and people are doing stupid things because of emotion. And there's no bigger emotion this year. I'd say the bigger emotion now is what's happening with Israel and all that. But the election's coming up, and that is a huge emotion for people. We have spoken to people that hate. We have spoken to people that love. And all we want to do is make sure you know whether you're taking a $10 bill and trading it in for $1. That's all. Like Reddit. It was just another little warning shot about the ass clowns on Wall Street that never think long term, only think how much money I can make now. And they bring out initial public offerings at asinine, ass 10, and ass 11 valuations, shooting themselves in the foot. Because imagine if they brought these IPOs out at a place where somebody got a shot, a better shot, because you never know, a better shot in the after hours. Well, maybe they can bring out more IPOs easily and get more fees. But no, let's just go for the Mount Everest. Highest price possible. Screw them all. And of course, it hit $75 very quickly as it was touted up the wazoo, and it's $46 in 8 days. And last I looked, that's about almost 40%. And we just gave you a little warning shot, not knowing. Remember what we always say to you. We're not telling you to buy, sell, short, or cover. We're just letting you know where we think valuation is. And we have a decent understanding of Wall Street crazy. And if we had the ear of some of these investment banks, you know what I would tell them? Take less fees now at a lower price and watch how much more fees you get over time. But they wouldn't listen. And I do know their job is to try and get the highest price possible, but it's also their job to be fair. It really is. Up next, today's markets. They did nothing today. I loved it. Why? Up next on Investor's Edge.
Listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. Appreciating you all. Today's Monday, right? So you got the NCAA final and Monday Night Raw, which would be a real good Monday Night Raw. By the way, in the final few minutes of WrestleMania last night, The Undertaker, John Cena, both show up. It was The Rock. It was pretty freaking cool for somebody like me. That's all I can tell you. And man, oh man, it was the last 5 minutes. Quite over the top. Okay. I just said to you the market did nothing today. Well, the big indices. There were things that moved. But the big indices, the Dow was down 11, the S&P was down 2, the NASDAQ was up a measly 5, the NASDAQ 100 was down. Why do I love markets like this? Well, let me be clear. The great winners that we try to find come from the sitting. The great winners come from the sitting. In the weeks leading up to NVIDIA breaking out on January 8th, we were telling you about it, and on the Friday before the Monday it broke out, we really made you aware. We started out by saying we don't usually do this, but man, oh man, if NVIDIA breaks above 505, we expect a pretty darn good move out of it because it has now been range bound for 5 months plus. Just so you know, NVIDIA did nothing for over 5 months after a nice move up. And boom. How about the gold? Well, gold had hit a level 11 years ago and couldn't get through, a couple of years ago and couldn't get through, in the last year and couldn't get through, and we just stated to you a move above 195. Well, the GLD is now 216 in a month. Why? Time. Trading ranges. Those are the launching pads. Simple as that. The longer things sit, the better. And that's what we're getting a little bit of. Let's hearken back to March 8th. So NVIDIA broke out on January 8th. And to our surprise, and not so much our surprise, because we told you the longer something goes in a range, the bigger the move. It broke out from 505 and topped out at 974 in 2 months. But on March 8th, it showed the opposite. On March 8th, the semiconductor, the whole group, showed the opposite. And that is a hot open after being very extended beyond the norm and finishing massively below on that day on a huge reversal. And we simply told you that day that is going to mark a high for now. Doesn't mean the end of the world, but it's going to mark a high for now. Well, the high of that day on the SOX was 52.17. We're at 48.25. The low of the day was on the SOX, 49.57. Only one day did it get above it recently and just came right back down. But overall, some things have worsened, some things haven't. But guess what's going on for the last month for a bunch of things? Just range bound. And I use NVIDIA, the best of, because NVIDIA topped out after a 2-month move, and it's showing support right now at 850. So far, 3 times it approached there and held and bounced. A break below 850 means the correction will worsen a little more. Doesn't mean a death knell, but range bound. And we love range bound. And do you know what I do every night? I make a list of everything that's range bound, holding support levels, not breaking out for new gains, but holding levels that give me some definable areas. And then we become patient as all heck. Let's say NVIDIA decides to go to 1500 from here, from 871. Well, the only way it does that, it's got to break above the closing high, which was the recent closing high was 950. It hit 974, but on a big reversal. And all we're going to do is just wait and be patient. And know, every day NVIDIA is doing nothing is a great day if it's going to go to 1500. And if it takes 5 months, so be it. If it takes 2 months, so be it. I'm just letting you know, the longer it takes, the better. And of course, the opposite can happen. What if NVIDIA's topped? That's it. That could be. Regardless what people tell you. Market's going to do whatever it wants to do. You know how we'll know if it's topped? Well, the 850 will be taken out. And then the big matzo ball, the 50-day moving average, will get taken out. And then we'll be in more corrective work for the whole everything else, because a lot of things will follow in technology land. So just letting you know, we love days like today. Now, I will tell you today, though, even with the indices not doing much, you had a good day in some financials, the big banks, and I got to tell you, some of the big regionals, not the smalls, some big. I got to tell you, the best chart in the market right now is PNC Bank. We don't own it, and we're not telling you to buy, sell, short, or cover, but man, oh man, a couple of these big regionals look like they want to make another move, and I want to make sure you know PNC hit a high of 228 in January of 22. It's still 160, and we want to make sure you, well, actually not as bad. It is sitting right where it was in 2018, 6 years of no gains. But right now, on a yearly basis, boy, does that look good. And you got some other big regionals. By the way, I don't own any. I don't know if you're going to get big, colossal gains out of them. Just letting you know. We love quiet. We just love quiet. And we are patient as all hell. And if we can get some range-bound action for 3, 4, 5 months and then bust out, oh, it's going to be a good end of the year. If the opposite happens, we'll know. Do you know why we'll know? Because we're good. We had you out all of 22. We had you out of the oils for a year until about 4 weeks ago when we said to you, we think they're emerging. Gold breaking out. By the way, oils are very overbought here and probably pull back some. And today's Monday. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I hear there's some inflation numbers this week. Whoopie-doo. Now, the one thing that is a little bit alarming, at the close today, the 10-year yield was up another 0.44 to 4.422. So this little breakout above range is sticking. And the higher yields go, the cost of capital goes higher. Cost of mortgages go higher. And as you know, oil prices are doing exactly, gas prices are following oil prices, just as we told you. That's not a hard thing to tell you. And commodities, copper, gold, silver, palladium, and whatever else. I do want to let you know crypto went insane overnight again to the upside. Huge move. I think it closed at let's see, Bitcoin, 72,000, I think. Google. I got to Google. Bitcoin price, 71.5. Dang. Got to hand it to them. Whatever is going on is going on. I heard they're halving Bitcoin in the next whatever. I guess they're going to halve the price or something. I don't know. Beats the heck out of me. Up next, news of the day. How is the Marxist in the White House destroying our future? Hey, this is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to
What are we waiting for?
Well, what are you waiting for?
1, 2, ready, go.
Action!
Investor's Edge
Hey, yo.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
Hey, the Marxist in chief was at it again today. And by the way, you know how when people call politicians Marxist, they use it kind of like as a dirty word and stuff like that? Hey, he's a Marxist. No, I mean it. I look at Marxism and socialism as control freakism. And how they do it is with rules, regulations, fees, fines, mandates, taxes, executive orders that we never ever thought that they would have. Did any of you ever think a president of the United States, remember, you've got a House of Representatives, you've got a Senate, then you have the executive branch, you have the Supreme Court, supposedly the laws of the land. And the Supreme Court came in and stated you cannot relieve student loans. This is a contract that they signed, a loan. You buy a car, you get a loan, you're supposed to pay it. If you don't, they're going to come pick up your car. The law of the land. Again today, he used your money and my money and every taxpayer's wallet to relieve student loans to the tune of billions of dollars. And you know he's not that nice of a guy. His whole family is a bunch of corrupt sleazebags. $20 million plus from foreign entities that he was dealing with when he was president or vice president. He's a sleazebag. He's no different than others, but he's a sleazebag. And by the way, as we always tell you, I'd say it to his face. So he relieved all this. So imagine this. You have these students. Hey, I'm going to college. I'm taking out this loan. You're signing a document that you are going to pay off this loan over time. Well, he's relieving all these things. So let me tell you the repercussions of this. First and foremost, number one, you're paying for it, but you're not. because all they're doing is they're slush funding us. This man has taken the size of government and the size of the debt and deficits and just shot him into outer space. While he stands in front of the camera and says he's lowered the debt and deficits, he's a lying sack. But here is the problem with forgiving these loans. It's a simple problem. Do you know why tuition in colleges continues to skyrocket? Because of the government guarantees. They're going to get paid no matter what. It's a bad, horrible market. They don't use market forces. So these colleges know, screw it. Oh, we'll just raise them again. We'll get paid. And now they see all these loans are forgiven. Terrific. We got paid. The taxpayer's screwed. Oh, but they won't see it because it's just going to go into the column of debt. Rules, regulations, fees, fines, mandates, taxes, executive orders, leading to giveaways. And as we've said to you, if you went to your bank account online today and you saw a debit and it said student loan relief, $300 taken out of your account, and you call up your bank and you say, I don't have a student loan. Oh, but you're paying off somebody else. He couldn't get away with it. But just so you know, it all goes into the pot. But he doesn't care because he's going to be either gone or retired by the time it all blows up. They don't give a crap. So Joe Biden was outed again for billions of dollars to buy votes. And believe me, they are campaigning on this. Hey, I'm relieving your debt. Vote for me. And do you know what they put in their little note on the relief? Oh, especially for blacks and Hispanics. Why would they put that in the note? Oh, because blacks and Hispanics are leaving his party in droves right now. So using your wallet to win votes, it's sickening. And don't get me wrong, Trump screwed the farmers with tariffs. Farmers lost a ton. He hated that he was going to lose their votes. And he took our taxpayer dollars and paid off the farmers. Now you know a little bit why I can't stand either. And we've got to be unbiased here versus what other people do and tell you both. But this guy makes Trump look like a piker in the debt deficits and all that other crap. Our whole federal spending in the year 2000 was $1.8 trillion. Our debt went up $2.7 trillion the last year, and we're guaranteed $2 trillion plus every year for the next decade. And I suspect it's going to be $3 trillion. And they're using numbers based on 3% GDP growth and interest rates at a certain level. What if we go into a recession, and what if interest rates go even higher? You get my point? He's the worst president we ever had. And he's still there. And we've had some bad ones. What he is doing with our treasury, is sickening. It is con artistry at its finest. He's making Madoff and this FTX dumbass. Can I say dumbass? Yeah, I guess I can. They're nothing compared to what this guy's doing from the White House. And not one media dolt asks him about it. Not one takes out a little poster and say, here's your debt. Explain. Here's your deficits. Explain. Here's the $380 billion of tax dollars going to John Podesta, a Democratic hack for climate. Where is the money going to and to who? I'm getting more PO'd by the day, and we're going to keep covering it as we head into November. The numbers are astounding. Hope another quiet day tomorrow. Doubt it. You'll have a great evening. Drive carefully. And when you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. Thanks again for all your kind wishes. Same time tomorrow. We'll be back. Hanging with you. Peace out. Stay well. Don't look into the sun if you got one of those eclipses. Bye-bye all.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.